Nice.
Can I get confirmation when we share our screen, the only thing that they're seeing is the PowerPoint, not us, correct?
That's correct. Okay, well, we're just at about 10 o'clock straight up, and so I'm going to go ahead and get us kicked off here. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I want to thank the students. It looks like we've got a good number of folks already on the call, and I'm sure more will join in, as well as I'd like to thank all of our presenters who were here this morning, and I'll introduce those folks to you as we move along in the program this morning. Basically, we wanted to put something together for everybody today so that folks can get a feel for the process of registration, all the components that are wrapped up in that registration process, and hopefully to be able to get any questions that you have answered. And so we've got all of our experts on hand, and they're going to walk us through step by step to let us know all the processes that that we need to go through. Each person will get an opportunity, each of our presenters get an opportunity to speak to us this morning, and then we'll open it up for questions, a Q&A section at the end. I'm going to ask that folks not turn their mics on at this stage. So unless you're a presenter, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and keep your microphone off. And I'm also going to ask that we hold most of our questions till the end. If you have something burning that you want to ask right away, you can type it into the chat, and one of our folks will go ahead and save those, and we'll make sure that we can get that question addressed. The first thing I want to do before we jump into the presentations is kind of familiarize you with a few of the key things on our website. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. Hopefully you can see that. This is the TCC website, and this is just our homepage here. Of course, the reason why we're even doing this online is because we're in the midst of a global pandemic, right? And so if you want to just take a look at the website, you'll see here right underneath remote services available and preventive measures you can take. You can read a little bit about all of the things that TCC is doing to, one, address the needs, but also help keep us all safe. And so right here under student information, there is just a ton of information regarding what TCC is doing and things that we're putting in place to help students out. All of the folks that are on this call also have their information set up here on the website as well. And so if you're looking for student services, you can go right into the website, and here in alphabetical order are all the different types of services that we have available to you as a student. And so most, if not all, of the things that we talk about today, you can easily find by typing it into our little search box here, and you can search for just about anything there is that you want to know, and hopefully find it there. The other thing I want to show you is our Blackboard page. And so you can either get to this page through the TCC website, or you can just type in my.tccd.edu and see it there as well. But on our Blackboard page, we've instituted something, and you'll all be enrolled in it. You can unenroll if you'd like, but we've instituted something called the Student Development Services Northeast Student Development Resources here. And if you click into here, right along the left side here, this is sort of a live, ongoing, updated type of a resource where as things go along, it won't be static like the website with just contact information, that sort of thing. But as things go along, this page will be updated, and you can access resources right here. So all of the folks that are on the call have a page up here, and those resources are being updated regularly as well. And so that's all I wanted to show you, sort of quickly give you an idea of the kinds of resources that are available on our website. And so don't feel like if you didn't get everything here today, all those things are available to you, and you can go ahead and find those at your leisure. And so want to get started with our program here, and I'm going to turn it over to our success coach, Jeremy Loy, and he's going to talk a little bit about those folks who are starting college for the first time and what some of the things are that they'll need to keep in mind. So, Jeremy, are you out there?
Yes,
All
I'm
right.
here. Thank
Fantastic.
you.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you. I'll talk with you briefly about some things that you need to make sure that you have done so that you can register for classes. Summer and fall registration are open now, so the more quickly you can take care of these items, the more quickly you can select your classes. Let me share my screen here, and we have a checklist here that I will have you take a look at while I'm talking. One of the first things you need to make sure that you do is have a TCC student ID number. You can apply right on our website at tccd.edu. If you scroll down just a little bit on there, you'll see apply. After you click that, you can click over to new to college student, or if there are any other folks here that fit into any of those other categories, you can click that link, and that will take you to the Apply TCC website in order to get a student ID number. The second thing that you'll see on there is the financial aid application, the FAFSA. If you have not already submitted that, please do that. We'll have someone from financial aid on here in a minute to go into a little bit more depth. But what I just want you to do is what I want to do is just give you a reminder to make sure that that's submitted to us, and then you can see the contact information there for financial aid. And once you're sure it's submitted, I would be in contact with financial aid just to make sure everything is good and there's nothing missing and your aid is ready for whenever you begin. Number two, there are some documents that are important to submit. We will want either your official high school transcripts or your diploma once you graduate. Many of you haven't graduated yet, so if you have not, don't worry about that one right now, but hopefully this summer, once you graduate, we can either get your official transcripts or your diploma. And then the second thing you'll see there is really important. It's the meningitis vaccination. That has to be valid within the last 5 years. So we would look for a current one. So just make sure yours is up to date and on file at the registrar's office. That will put a hold on your account if you don't have that in. So as quickly as you can get that, the better, and get that on file. And then you can see some submit only if applicable. We will talk with you if your residency is pending or if there's any issues there, but sometimes you might have to show documentation of in-county residency. If you've taken any AP classes, please submit those to us via College Board. Generally, if you get a 3 or greater on those, then you can get some college credit for those, but testing, I think we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then if you have certain scores like ACT or SAT scores and they're high enough, they can possibly provide you exemptions. Success coaches, yes.
May I throw something in, please? I'm sorry, this is Brian. I apologize for being late. I've had computer trouble. So they've been working on my computer since 8:45 this morning. So I'm just now, they were able to get me in. So I'm sorry for being late. With the admissions portion of it in number 1, with the Apply TCC, please make sure that they understand that there's a series of emails that they're going to receive when they apply through Apply TCC. And we get a lot of students who say, well, I got an email saying that it was received. How many emails did they receive? Just one. There's multiple emails that they're going to get as Apply TCC cycles through their process before it comes to us. And it's actually downloaded. The last one from us is the one that actually has a student ID number. That's when it's been downloaded into our system and we can access it. So if they only got one, that means that's Apply TCC's way of saying we received your application. And then as it goes through, it's going to give them additional emails. So there's 3 to 4 emails that will come from Apply TCC before they get the last one. So if they've just gotten one, then tell them to log back in, because it could have been something that wasn't answered, or they might not have hit submit and finished it out, and it's still in the queue, in the Apply TCC queue before it gets to us. Because we get a lot of calls about that, and their applications haven't downloaded because something was wrong, so they just need to log back in.
Thank you. Thank you. So once you've applied and start working on submitting those documents, again, let me emphasize that meningitis vaccination. We also, you see there on 3, have success coaches available to you, either by call or by chat or by email, and we can talk about what's missing from your account and anything that you might be missing there. Number 4 is either completing testing, or some of you may have testing exemptions based on things like ACT and SAT scores. We will need to get those on file for exemptions or testing. We'll talk about here in a minute the options for completing TSI testing. The next thing that I see down here is visiting with an advisor. An advisor will get into classes with you a little bit more, talk about things you need to take, the TSI placement, that sort of thing. Talk about what you want to do, where you're going, and then they will schedule with you new student group advisement. And that will be important for you to complete. We'll go over some new student registration information, as well as help you select those initial classes. In a minute, advising will talk about registration and what all you need to do there. And then the final thing that I have, it's not on here, is online readiness. A lot of you may be wanting to take our online classes through TCC Connect. And if you do, there is an online readiness assessment that you will have to complete. And that's something that you can be doing at home. It probably takes 35 to 45 minutes. It's computer and technical information, as well as your motivation to do online classes. And the easiest way to find that is to use the search box at the TCC website. The first link will take you to the Smart Measure website so that you can take that assessment. And I would just encourage you all to get that done as soon as possible to give you the option of online classes. Some of you may take all online, some of you may mix and match. You may take one online and all on campus, but I would definitely clear that out of the way too. That's all I have for mine, and we will move on to the next part.
Thank you so much, Jeremy, and Mr. Bryan. Thanks for jumping on and helping us with some of the front end questions and some of the barriers that can tend to come up for students when they are applying. Our next presenter is going to help us to think through some of the things that happen after we've submitted our application and those sorts of things, and now we're ready to begin testing. And so our testing coordinator, Mrs. Huggins, is on the line. Mrs. Huggins, can you help us understand what role does testing play in helping students get registered for classes?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mary Huggins. I'm coordinator of the Testing Center at Northeast Campus. And I have some handouts that I'm going to show you. So just bear with me while I share my screen. So here we are, share. Okay, so a couple of things. First things first, here are some of the tests that we give within our test center on campus. We, of course, the biggest test that we give is the TSI, that's the admissions test. So it's a placement test. It is not a pass-fail test, it is a placement test. So if you do not have an exemption, such as ACT or SAT, then essentially you would have to take the TSI, all sections. Some of the students that are in today's presentation may have already tested for writing and reading. Maybe you were a dual credit student, and so maybe you just need to take the math portion. Maybe you tested in high school and you didn't meet the necessary cut score and you need to take all 3 sections again as a retest. That's fine too. We have been working diligently, myself and my counterparts at the other campuses, along with TCC administration, to get the test up and going online. I am hoping that that will happen this week. So if you have spoken with an advisor or a success coach and received a referral from them, and you've also talked to my office, more than likely we have your name logged and we will be reaching out to you, hopefully with test vouchers sooner than later. Again, I do hope this week that'll happen. The test, of course, is an online test. So even in our testing lab, you take it online. However, of course, it's in person. You have a live proctor there watching you. In this instance, the test is going to be taken in the comfort of your own home or your living space. And you would just need, a laptop and or a desktop computer. You would have to have a speaker, a microphone, and a webcam in order to be able to take the test. And then, of course, you would schedule it with a third party, and they're called Examity, and it's a live proctor that would essentially be watching you while you take the test. A lot of the stuff stays the same. It's not timed. Unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to take breaks while you're testing. So that's some things that the coaches essentially would talk to you about. Coaches and the advisors would talk to students about when, preparing to take the test. And then, of course, anything we would address as well if more questions came up. We also provide the ALEKS PPL, which is a math placement test. We don't see a lot of students take this test, but it is for students more so who are needing math, such as pre-cal or calculus 1 or higher. The math sequence is college algebra, pre-cal, then calculus. So this allows students to take this test. There's a $20 fee with this test, and you get 5 attempts. And depending on your score, you may skip college algebra and go directly into either pre-cal and or calculus 1. We see a lot of engineering majors take this test. It's not easy. And so there's a built-in tutorial that students are required to do each time they test in between turns. And so, we highly recommend students to, when they take the ALEKS, make sure that they study and are very well prepared. We also encourage students when they take the TSI to be, prepared and review before they test. There is a fee associated with the TSI. It can cost up to $29 to take all 3 sections. And there could be a retest fee if you are not intending to attend TCC. Most of our students do test for free. And of course, the coaches normally will ask the students questions to determine if there's a fee associated with that. If you are a Tarrant County resident and or a Tarrant County high school graduate or high school student, essentially your first time would be free, and then all retests are free as well. We do offer the MBTI Strong. It's a career test. Students have to obtain a referral from a counselor in order to be able to take this. This is free. This is something that we offer. It helps students who may be struggling to determine a major. Maybe they keep going back and forth, or they just feel that they just are lost in that. And sometimes that happens a lot with college students because it's overwhelming. There's a lot of choices, and I used to be an advisor, and one of the questions was always, well, what if I'm done in 5 years with my degree, 6 years with my degree, and I don't know what I'm not happy with what I chose. Things like this, these career tests can help with that. We do offer a CLEP test. CLEP test is a credit by examination. So there is a fee associated with this test, and it's definitely more than $30, but it could be a way for you to get credit for class without having to utilize your whole semester. We offer various subjects with CLEP. For example, one of the biggest ones we offer, I would say, is Spanish. We will have a new Spanish with writing CLEP coming this fall. Right now, we just do the basic Spanish and there is no writing component, but that's going to change in the fall. I'll show you my staff information in just a sec with the specific person who's in charge of CLEP, as well as our AP score processing, as Jeremy had noted a little while ago. AP scores, so any student who takes the AP exam, and usually they have to score at least a 3 in order to earn some type of credit. A lot of time that conversation happens with a coach, and then the coach will refer them to us, to testing services, and we'll get them with April, and April will help the student process their their AP score and get it posted. It's free to post AP scores. However, sometimes you are charged a $15 fee in order to get your official score report from College Board with AP. So with that being said, if you do have any of those, let me go ahead and show you now my teams. So right here, this is the testing services. These are our current hours of operation. So we are Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. When our summer hours, once the spring semester ends, we'll go into summer hours. So this will change to 8 to 7 and then closed on Fridays. But for now, this is where we are. This is our main testing services email. So any one of my staff can answer this, myself included. I do encourage, all students to contact us via this email. This is our best way of communicating currently. I have 5 full-time staff and then myself. So we have, 6 people watching this email regularly. This is our main number right here, the 817-515-6868 number. April Wagnon is in charge, excuse me, of CLEP and AP scores. So if you have any questions related to that, please feel free to bombard her today or any day this week with information and or questions. She's very thorough. She's very organized. She's really good. So she will be able to help you and assist you with any of the questions that you have, even if you think you may have. She might be able to send you some handouts to kind of go over what AP scores we post and of course, what CLEP tests we offer as well. Down here we have some, and these handouts will of course be posted to the Blackboard site. And then we have test prep information specifically for the TSI. We don't really have any test material for the ALEX test. We usually encourage students because the math on the ALEX placement test is going to be higher than what's on the TSI. That's going to start with college algebra, and then it's going to go into trig, and then it's going to go into pre-cal, and then it's going to go into calculus. So essentially students would have to have a pretty, decent math foundation in order to take that ALEX PPL. Nevertheless, again, we do encourage students to come prepared to take that test. And then I also wanted to show you this. This is a handout we created this past semester. I guess at the beginning of March, early April. And it's a test taking strategies. So one of the things that I've chosen to do as the coordinator of testing services in the past year is also try to help students become better test takers. Essentially, students will take the TSI and then they move on from our department. But that's not the only test that students take while they're in their college years. You take numerous tests. So I wanted to focus and try to help students become better test takers by providing them with, test taking strategies and tips. It can take years to master being a good test taker. And even then there's always room for improvement. And so this is something that we created. Actually, I had an intern in my office that helped me create this. We were doing workshops for this as well. And depending on how the summer goes, maybe we'd be able to do some workshops virtually, maybe in summer 1 and summer 2, that could be an option. Anything that does take place, of course, it will be posted in the Blackboard. So we would let students know if we indeed would have a workshop for that. The workshop is called Tea Time with Testing. When we did it on campus, we served tea, and we've done it twice. We had tea for students. They could make it either iced or they could make it warm tea. So, but again, if you have any questions, please let me know. And again, my name is Mary Huggins, and I'm the coordinator of testing services at the Northeast campus. And I am eager to talk to any of you. So again, you saw my contact information on that form, and I'll go ahead and show the handout one more time for the for our contact. Are you guys seeing this? Is anyone seeing that?
We are not.
Okay, let me try it one more time and then I'll.
You know what, Mary, we're going to go ahead and gather all these up.
Okay, great.
And so I'll post them all on the Blackboard site for all the students to be able to access. And so we'll keep moving right along here. Thank you so much. That was really great information regarding testing.
Thank you. Thanks, Matt.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. One of the other pieces of the puzzle is that students often need to access is financial aid. And so our financial aid director is on the line, and she's going to help us understand a little bit about how financial aid plays a part in this. And so, Director Bledsoe, can you let us know what are some things that students need to take into account when applying for financial aid? Did we lose Director Bledsoe?
Sorry. Okay, I think I was muted. Sorry.
There you are. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. I think the one thing students need to make sure that they are applying for the correct award year. A new application opens on October 1st of every year. So a lot of times you have 2 award years going. So just remember, in this whole process, as long as you're in school, make sure that you go ahead and complete your FAFSA for each award year. Right when it opens October 1st, and then you'll have plenty of time to get all your documents in so you can have the biggest opportunity to qualify the discretionary grants that could run out, during the awarding process. So make sure that you're applying for the correct award year. The other thing is to monitor your TCC email. That is how we communicate. It is to remember about financial aid. Everybody talks about it, and this is what I get, or, why don't you qualify for that? Each person's situation is different. It's individual. So just make sure that you pay attention to your own file, because you're the one that it's going to affect in the long run. So make sure that you do that.
All right. Are there any common snags that come up with students to where there's some sort of bumps in the road, things that you see that students commonly get stuck on in the financial aid process?
Oh, definitely. Probably the biggest one is meeting deadlines. Submitting your documents in time to meet. If your financial aid file is awarded, then your classes should be held. TCC does have a payment deadline if you've enrolled for your courses, to where it will hold your payment will hold your courses in there. So you certainly don't want them to be dropped. So that's why it's really important for you to make sure that you meet all the deadlines and turn in all the documents that we're requesting. These are mandated documents. We don't like to receive any more documents than we absolutely have to have. So that's why it's important to start early and to make sure you keep up with your file until you're awarded.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for letting us know how financial aid fits into the puzzle. And once students have completed their application and documents, and they've tested and they've gotten financial aid, they're ready to get themselves in the classes. That's where our academic advisors come in. And so we've got academic advisor extraordinaire, Mr. Broussard, on the line, and he's agreed to come and talk us through that process. And so Mr. Broussard, can you talk us through what the initial advising appointment might look like?
Yes, sir. So I'm going to share my screen here. All right, perfect. All right, so with after you've seen one of our amazing success coaches, you've gotten tested, and now you're ready to actually sit down with an academic advisor to get a sense for what you would like to register for. So in the initial conversation with students, as an academic advisor, we want to discuss a few things. We want to find out from a student, what is your particular career/degree goal? We want to know, are you attending TCC just to complete your basics? Are you attending Tarrant County College so that way you can earn your basics and transfer to a university? Or are you wanting to pursue a certain particular degree in a certain field, an associate's degree here at TCC? And so there's a myriad of questions that an academic advisor will ask a student to get a sense for what's best for the student. One of the main things we will discuss also is course load. That means how many credit hours or how many classes are you wanting to take in this semester that we're talking about registration for. We want to get a sense for what other things are you responsible for outside of the classroom, so that way we can make sure we're not overloading you with too much coursework. So when an academic advisor is asking all these particular questions, do you work full time? Do you work part time? We're not being nosy. We're just wanting to get a sense for what it would be best for you course wise. So for instance, we may say if you work full time, maybe you start out classes going part time until we can get you acclimated to see kind of how classes are going. If you're working part time, then and you would like to go full time, then we'll talk about that as well. We also need to discuss how long you plan to be at Tarrant County College. Are you really wanting to complete your degree in 2 years? So we want to discuss those different things so we make sure that we are giving you the proper course load for your semester. This is something I encourage students to do every single semester. Come in and see your academic advisor at least twice a semester, so that we can, one, make sure that you're taking the right courses, and two, we can make sure that you're still on the same plan or you still have the same career goal as we discussed in the beginning. And again, this is all done so that way you, one, don't waste time taking courses that don't apply to a particular degree you're seeking, or so also we don't want you to waste your money as well. So what we'll do is we'll help plan out that first semester. So we'll sit down and we'll show you exactly how to go into the system and show you how to find the classes and search for campuses. And at some point, Matt will bring that particular part up. And this will give you an idea of how to search for courses and by campus when you're at home doing this on your own. Academic advisors are definitely there to walk you through the steps of registration. But we also want to make sure that students understand how to use our systems on their own as well, in case they're not able to reach one of us. One of the major things you will do is after we've talked about your course load, we've talked about the courses that you're going to register for, and we've looked at the courses that you should take for that particular semester. We're then going to register you for a session called New Student Group Advisement. This particular session will inform students of particular policies and procedures and guidelines of not just Tarrant County College, but also possibly the state as well. This particular session is about 45 minutes for the presentation part. And then we'll actually go through showing you how to register for your courses in the system that we're using to do so. So there's a few things we want to make sure that you're able to do before we get you into the New Student Group Advisement, making sure all your documents are in, also making sure you have set up your password and all that for WebAdvisor so that you can enter the system. It just makes things go a lot smoother in the New Student Group Advisement session if these things have been done. And then we're also going to be there for you to work through some registration errors. Sometimes there's certain error codes that a student may get when they're trying to register. And some of the time it has nothing to do with anything that the student is doing wrong. It can be more so on our side of the fence where you may not necessarily know where your status is. So there's a few different things that we can work with you on. As an academic advisor, especially working remotely, now what I would usually tell students to do is take a screenshot of the error message that you're getting and submit that to us so that we can actually determine where we might have went wrong. Also, we want to help you with the transfer process if that's your particular goal. Again, we want to make sure that you're taking courses that will be transferable going to the university and your degree of choice. So it's imperative that you meet and talk with your academic advisor frequently while you're at Tarrant County College. So that way we can take a look at what courses does that particular university and for your major actually require. Do they require a certain specific speech? Do they want you to have a specific math? We want to look into all of those things. Again, this is just to really help a student make sure that they're taking the proper courses to achieve their goal going forward.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Broussard.
I had one more quick one there, Matt. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Go for it.
Well, what I wanted to do is show you the chat feature. Now, again, as we're working in a remote environment, we realize that these are trying times, but we want to make sure that the students understand that we are still here to serve them. So if you go to our main webpage, which is www.tccd.edu, And in the top right, there's going to be a search box there. If you just type in advising, what you'll do is you'll get a chance to fill out something like this. You'll see a chat feature that'll come up that you can see down in your bottom right. And that is for you to actually speak with a particular advisor. Now, when you're actually looking at that, you fill out something like this. And so you can select what campus your question is regarding. You can put your first name, last name, ID number in, and then down at the bottom, what you're actually needing. So that way, when you're connected to an academic advisor, we get a sense for exactly what the student is actually going to be needing as we go forward. So we just want to make sure students understand that even though we're not on campus right now, don't fret, we're still here to serve you. And so if you have any particular questions regarding anything, here's how one of the quicker ways that you can reach an academic advisor. Back to you, Matt.
Thank you, sir. Fantastic. Leonard, I just want to ask real quick, because I know our students are out there and they have questions. What are some of the common snags that you run into when you see students attempting to get registered?
Typically, some of the things we run into is when students are actually, they haven't turned in some of their documents. So as Jeremy mentioned earlier, wanting to make sure that you get your meningitis vaccination in. We typically will see that where that may not be turned in or it may be expired. Also, as Mary mentioned, if you're a dual credit student or you were a dual credit student, you may have only taken the TSI writing and reading section and not the math. And so sometimes students think that that isn't something that they need to do since it wasn't required on the front end for them to start taking dual credit courses. And so that will hinder a student from registering as well. A couple of other things that we see is not having the right courses in your preferred list. So for instance, you've now selected a course, but the course you selected to register for has 0 seats left in the course. And so the way our system works is when you're trying to register, if there's an error for any one of your courses that you're trying to register for, it will not allow any of your registration to take place because it's going to show you what your errors are. So that way you can go back and fix those and then move on into the registration process. So as I always tell students, as an academic advisor, that's what we're here for. We're here to walk you through those steps and to assist you in knowing exactly where the error messages have come from. So as you're registering, if you tend to see something like that, feel free to screenshot that and you can actually get into a chat feature to talk with an academic advisor so we can adequately help you get your courses registered for.
Fantastic. And thank you so much for being there for the students and helping them get over some of these hurdles. I just want another reminder to the students out there, if you have questions, go ahead and type them into the chat now. It may not seem like it, but we're seeing these and we're collecting them. And towards the end of our session, we'll have a little bit of a Q&A to get some of these questions answered. So you can go ahead and keep typing those into the chat and we'll try to collect those and answer them as we move towards the end here. Also want to remind you that one of the things that we've put forward for students here as a sort of a reward for coming through the session with us, an incentive to finish out the whole thing here, is that we'll have some $100 gift cards to the bookstore available for students, so that that'll take some of the pressure off financially for being able to get books for your classes. And so hang in there with us till the end and we'll get you the information on how to access those as well. Our next speaker is from our business services area, and he's going to help us to figure out how to make sure we get our classes paid for. And so our manager of business services is Mr. Mitchell Pinter. Mitchell, can you help us figure out, once the students get themselves registered for classes, how do they make a payment?
Hi, can everyone hear me? Yes, my name is Mitchell. It's actually Pintour, and I work for business services at our Northeast Business Service office. And just want to share some critical information for you all in helping you navigate your academic and financial career at TCC. First, for those of you not aware, Business Services primarily supports students with paying for college matters, such as tuition and fees, payment deadlines, payment options, payment plans, refunds, 1098Ts, student hiring, and third-party sponsorships. So for any of those issues, you're welcome to call me directly or reach out to any of us. You can find Business Services content on TCC's website by clicking on the Pay for Now College option. I'll continue to stress this again on our main landing page at tccd.edu. Simply click on Pay for College, and that'll be the landing page for pretty much all of Business Services. One thing that we've incorporated recently due to the coronavirus pandemic is a frequently asked questions page. This should answer all of the questions that you have concerning any policy or procedural changes during this time. Again, to view these questions, simply visit TCC's website and click on the Pay for College button, and a hyperlink. The very first thing that we have at our page is the coronavirus update and the frequently asked questions associated to those. Program tuition and fees. We also offer a breakdown of tuition and fees per rates per semester, plus additional fees your tuition may or may not cover. This area is titled Program Tuition and Fees. Currently, we have our 2019-2020 estimated program cost. They're posted. And again, just click on the Pay for College, Tuition and Fees, and right here for specific programs. And this includes certifications as well. Payment deadlines, these are critical. I believe our Director of Financial Aid stressed that the primary means of communication with TCC students is our MyTCC email address. Likewise, Business Services sends all pertinent communications to that mytccd.edu email address, so please continue to check that. Also, we would encourage you, if you haven't already and if you're able to go ahead and opt in to the texting option so that you'll receive critical messages by way of text messaging as well. Currently, our Maymester 2020 and Fall 2020 payment deadlines are posted. And it's very important that you understand and realize those payment deadlines. Payment options. TCC offers a variety of payment options for to help further your career. Business Services breaks down all of your payment options, such as how to pay online, how to pay by mail, payment plans, third-party sponsors, tuition waivers and exceptions. And you can find this area, again, by clicking on the Pay for College button, the green button on our main landing page, and then selecting payment options. One thing to note, during the, or due to the coronavirus pandemic, our campuses are closed down, and obviously there's no, currently there's no in-person payment process. So our only two payment options available are online and by mail. Payment plans. Our payment plan offerings can be found on TCC's website by clicking Pay for College and then Payment Plans. Our payment plans are very student friendly as possible, and we really cater them for flexibility for our students. Currently, we have our 2020 summer payment plan enrollment available, as well as we have options for our 2020 fall payment plans. Refund policies. Business Services also breaks down our refund policies. These can be found on TCC's website by clicking Pay for College and then Refunds. This area also breaks down or covers our Bank Mobile partner. Bank Mobile, if you're not aware, is basically, it's the largest bank that serves colleges throughout the country. And for those of you especially receiving financial aid refunds, you must set up your Bank Mobile preferred refund preference by way of Bank Mobile's website in order to receive your financial aid refund. So that's very important. One of the things we often see at business services is that students' financial aid refund is delayed because students have failed to go on to Bank Mobile and selected their preferred refund preference. So ensure that you do that. And again, we have all the critical information that you need in this area within our website. One thing I want to stress as well, if you as a student, students can enroll in as many courses as they'd like leading up to a classes starting, but once those classes start, if a student has failed to drop any courses, they're going to be responsible for either all or a part of that tuition. So again, it's important to meet with your counselors, meet with your advisors, find out what you need to take, and drop any classes that you're not wanting to take prior to them starting, or you're going to be responsible for all or a part of that tuition, depending on when you drop that course. And lastly, to contact business services, we've somewhat streamlined our processes due to the coronavirus, pandemic, to make it easier for students to contact us. You can contact 817-515-4PAY to reach business services, or you can email us at busvhelp@tccd.edu and answer your questions there. And that is it, Matthew, if there's any questions.
Thank you so much for that. We are going to continue to go ahead and type those questions down into the chat, and we'll field those towards the end of our presentation here. Thank you so much for that. The next speaker we have lined up is our veterans counselor, and as involved as all this process is for every student, there's even more that that folks who are from our using veterans benefits or who are military connected have to be aware of. And so I've invited our veteran services counselor here to talk to us a little bit about that. Mr. Hunt, if you would, what are some veteran specific things that come up when our veterans need to get registered?
Hey, good morning. Thank you, Matt. Veterans and military connected students, I'm so glad you guys are here. There's a lot that, there's a whole bunch of details. What Matt said is right. Some of the biggest snags that we run into is, like it's been previously mentioned, is documents not being turned in. That's going to be really important that you get all that stuff taken care of. For those of you that have telephones handy, if you don't, go grab it. In a minute, I'm going to put up some contact information, and instead of trying to write it down, just take a picture of it, okay? That way you'll have it with you all the time. Knowing who to get a hold of is going to be the best way for you to avoid snags. Like everybody else has said, check your TCC email. It's vital. If there is a processing issue with any of your documents or your VA, education benefits, housing allowance, that kind of thing, that information is going to come to you via email. All of the instructors, especially now that we're online, are going to communicate with you via email. And so one suggestion I would make is a lot of folks will get a separate app and put it on their phone just for TCC email. And then that way, if there is a snag, it can be addressed quickly and get you back on track. The important things to have is you have to have a degree plan, and the classes that you sign up for have to be on that degree plan in order for the VA to be paying for that. And so that's important too. Another thing on the Web Advisor, the main menu, the VA certification requests, clicking that and letting the folks downtown know that, hey, I'm here, I'm taking classes, I want to use benefits. All of that stuff is super important. And so I'm going to go ahead and put this information up here now so that you all can get your camera ready.
And again, as you bring that up, Chris, I just want to reemphasize that we'll definitely post all these materials, all the contact information, all the handouts that you've seen on our Blackboard page that I showed earlier. And so students will have access to that, but you're right, Chris, it is nice to have it directly on your phone.
All right, give me just a second here.
And also, while you're pulling that up, Chris, I just want to remind students to just make sure you stay till the end so that you can be eligible for that giveaway.
All right, can everybody see that? Was that clear? Somebody give me a nod. Okay, thanks. Okay, so these are the folks that you want to know about on the Northeast campus. I don't want to take too much time, but I need you all to know, as far as veteran military connected students, we have the best support in the district by far, from top to bottom. As recently as last Friday, Dr. Ayers was asking me about how are the veterans doing. Our vice president, Dr. OU, she cares about veterans, and when it comes time to put your money where your mouth is, she supports us. When somebody is in trouble or a difficult spot, she's concerned and cares about that too. And then Dr. Parent, who obviously is my direct boss, she has taken bullets for me numerous times. She cares a lot about veterans. And so you're in a great place to get the help that you need. You have what it takes, and it's worth it. This is going to be hard. Higher ed is a different ball game from the military. And so that's why we're here, is to help you transition, okay? And so the easiest way to get a hold of us all is what's on this screen right now. And I am the veterans counselor, a therapist by trade. I can do some advising. I will rely on the wise people when I need to. Lydia is a double-edged sword. That is, she's a counselor and has the catalog memorized forward and back, and is also a great source of help. Catherine is really pretty amazing. People think of her as an advisor, but she's more than that. When she's trying to line up your work schedule and your course schedule and make sure that it's on your degree plan to make sure that you get your housing allowance, she sees it as a fun game of Tetris. And if she can win, she's not going to lose. And so she will stay with it and get you where you need to go from where you are. Also, Cord is our veteran specialist. He too is a veteran. I was going to make a Navy joke, but we'll save that for later. Anything to do with document intake and educational benefits, certification, he's your point of contact. Anything to do with Hazelwood goes straight to Cord, okay? And so that will save you some navigating through the system to bypass that and go VFR direct to him. And then also, we are fortunate to have Ms. Edwards. She's a retired senior NCO, and she works directly for the VA. Primarily, her job has to do with voc rehab, but she's also embedded with us so that she has direct access to all the VA databases. And so she can see information that we just flat don't have access to and share that with us. Matt, other things that you were thinking?
You know, Mr. Hunt, I think you have hit the nail on the head for us. Thank you so much for all the info. And again, I just want to reiterate to the students, all this information, all the contact info, all the handouts will be available on our Blackboard page, and I will get that link out to everyone as well.
Matt, forgive me.
Yes, sir.
Thing real quick.
Yes, sir.
And this goes for everybody, not just veterans. If you get, obviously all of you have figured out how to do this. If you get stuck with your password and your login, don't just get frustrated and quit. The number is 817-515-6411. So don't sit there all day cussing your computer. If it doesn't work after a couple of times, call them, get some help. They'll be very helpful. They've never laughed at me, and I'm a frequent flyer. So remember that, 817-515-6411. Thank you, Matt.
Yes, no, thank you. That's good input. And I just want to stress that as well for all of the different services that we provide. My coworkers are phenomenal, and I feel like we have people who are there and ready to help at a moment's notice. And so don't hesitate to contact us. Don't hesitate to reach out, even if it's not necessarily the department that you need to be in. Folks will help get you to the right place. And so that's what we're here for. We're here to serve you as our student. So thank you so much, Mr. Hunt. Last but not least, we have some folks who sometimes may not have the grades that they need and maybe fall behind in some things and find themselves on suspension at school. And so those folks have some special things to think about when it comes to registration. And so we've invited Miss Rhonda here to help talk us through some of that. So Miss Rhonda Isaacs is here. And if you wouldn't mind letting us know, what are some of the things that our students who are dealing with suspension have to think about when it comes to registration?
Well, thank you, Matt. The first thing that I always want to point out is, sometimes we don't do well in a semester. Sometimes we don't do well in a couple of semesters, and I am speaking from experience. I had a rough start to college. And so when that happens, and a student does happen to go to academic suspension, there is a hold that's put on your account. But I never ever want anyone to think of this as a, you're in trouble and you're being sent to the principal's office kind of thing. No, it's more of a situation of, okay, we've had a couple of semesters that didn't go the way we planned. So how can we get with you and create what we refer to as an academic success plan? What are some things that we need to do? What are some resources that are available through our college that you've already paid for, with your tuition? So make sure you're taking advantage of those. But sometimes we'll find that students aren't aware of the different things that are out there. So when we create that the academic success plan, one of the things that you've heard throughout is make sure you're talking to your advisor. Make sure you're coming in to see your advisor. Don't do things all by yourself. Well, one of the things that changes is that instead of encouraging you to go see an advisor, we're going to require that you come in and see one of us in the counseling department. And it is, again, it's not as a gotcha. It's more of a that accountability thing, and how can we help that? How can we help you get from where you are now to back to that good academic standing? One of the things that I really want to point out here is that, COVID-19 has put a monkey wrench in a lot of things, I think, for a lot of people. And there may be some of you who are on this call that you haven't been in school for a number of years. And when you were in school the last time, maybe it wasn't the best of experiences, and when you left, you were on suspension. Well, of course, when you come back, you're still going to be on suspension because we got to work on getting that GPA up. But it doesn't mean that you can't do it. We don't believe that at all. We just believe that it means that you may need some encouragement and support. So how you do that, the very first thing you're going to do is reach out to the advising and counseling offices, regardless of the campus. The process may be a little bit different as far as how you get in to see the counselor. But at the end of the day, what we're going to do is you're going to call the counseling office. Even now, even though we're not there, you can still call the counseling office. And our front desk staff, they're going to send you a packet of information that we need you to be working on. And they're also going to set up an appointment time for you to either have a phone call or something like this through Zoom or some other means where we can look at you face to face and sit down and figure out, hey, what do we need to do and how do we go from here? The other thing that I want to point out is that, sometimes the reason that we're in school or that we've had trouble in school is for something that's completely outside of education. It doesn't have anything to do with that. But we do have counseling services that are available, and those counseling services are not only for school-related things. You know why? Because everything affects school. And so that means that in a way, everything is school-related. So if something is going on in your life that you really would like to talk to someone about, and you know that it's impacting your education, come and see us. You're going to be required to come in at least twice, but encouraged to come in more often if you need to. And so that's kind of what we wanted to talk about is don't let the fact that you are on suspension be a hindrance. Let us help you get back on track. That's it, Matt. You're on mute, Matt.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. I also wanted to see if you would help us to just understand, during this time, students are, as is everyone, just having more of a rougher time, I think, having to be at home, having to learn a whole new way of taking classes and registering for classes, and it can be very, very stressful. I know that the counseling office does a lot, and are they doing anything now to help with the added stress and the added strain that students may be experiencing?
Anything different than they normally do? No.
Yeah, just during this remote work time.
No, we're still doing everything that we always do. We're just doing it differently.
Okay, yeah.
So, you know, personal counseling, we have workshops that we offer. Those are now virtual. And that all of that information is on the Blackboard page that Matt's referred to. So whether it's personal counseling, it's academic counseling, it's academic advising, you need help with, and you know, one of the things that both Mitchell and Mary Lou talked about is having your financial aid and having your payment plan in place, all that kind of thing. Because at the end of the day, that can be one of the stressors. So you want to make sure that you've got all of those ducks in a row. And we're all here, every one of us, not just those in counseling, every last one of us are here to make sure that you're able to reach that goal. So I don't think that we're doing anything different. It's just how we're doing it is different.
All right. Well, thank you so much for helping us to understand the role of counseling in all of this. And that is all of our presenters. So thank you all so much, our distinguished panel, for helping us to get a full picture of all that goes into helping students get into the classroom. It can definitely, I know for me, it feels like it can be a bit overwhelming at times to think about all the things that can go into the registration process. And so on that note, we have a number of questions that have come in. And so we're going to go ahead and just sort of open up our Q&A section here. And I've got lots of questions that our students have asked. And so I want to go ahead and get into some of these. And so one of the first ones that have come in is regarding the idea of getting financial aid processed. And so what one of the students have asked is if they've already submitted their financial aid, what can they look forward to in terms of a timeline? Can our Director of Financial Aid maybe answer that question?
Sure. Thanks, Matt. I want to apologize to everybody. I don't know, I didn't get to do my, give you some more information on financial aid, but please feel free to reach out to our office and we can help you individually. If you have filed your FAFSA, first thing you need to make sure that you have done is to have applied to TCC. So once you make sure that you have put our school code on your FAFSA, which is 003626, and we will import your information. If you will monitor your financial aid self-service account, that can be accessed through your web advisor account. Over on the right, I believe it's the second one down, it was on my presentation, access financial aid self-service, and that's the way you're going to be able to monitor if we need anything, if we've received your financial aid. Make sure that you toggle. I know I talked about the different award years, so make sure if you're in the fall, you're going to be wanting to look at your 2020, 2021 information. It will show us at the top that we have received your financial aid. If we need any documents from you, those will also be listed. And so it's kind of hard to say when. If we don't need any more documents, once we get your financial aid, you should have an award within 5 to 7 business days.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Shelby asks, when will we hear when we can take the TSI? I'm concerned about missing summer 1 and 2. If that she's done everything up to this point, when essentially when can we hear about anything about taking the TSI?
So we're hoping this week. It's been a lot of work to try to get the test. contracts and everything. So we are really hoping that it can get going this week. So if you have already spoke with a coach and or advisor, and hopefully you reached out to the testing services team, what we have done over the past 5 or so weeks that we've been on hold is we have kept a Google Doc and logged every student of their test needs. And so students who are on that doc will actually get vouchers first because they've been waiting for about 5 or so, 6 weeks or so. And then any new students that start coming in, the advisors will still provide a referral, but the process is going to change a little bit. But the students will then, of course, contact testing, and then we will get those vouchers as well. But we do have about 5 weeks worth of students that we've been keeping track of and logging to make sure that, you know, I can honestly say I didn't think it was going to take 5 weeks to get the test going, but I will say this. It's like Matt said at the beginning of this presentation, that it is a global pandemic. And so it's not just TCC, it's not just the state of Texas. This has been an issue nationally, and the third-party proctor that we're using, they actually, I'll just give a little background, they shut down at the beginning as soon as we closed, pretty much, to COVID. And so because of that, it took them, I would say it probably took them maybe about 4.5 weeks to get reopened and reset themselves to be able to proctor again for students. And institutions that were not using Examity already are now using Examity. So you can imagine the amount of students they are probably testing, and we're probably talking in the millions. So what I ask of any of you, as far as the students are concerned, is to continue to be patient, because like Rhonda said a little bit ago, you know, we're still doing the same thing. It's just a little different. And it's, you know, it takes a little bit of time. And so I just ask that you continue to be patient. But again, I do hope that it will be up and running this week, because I am eager, more than eager to get going. So, and, you know, we don't know what the circumstances are for fall. But either way, students will get taken care of when it comes to the TSI.
Okay, thank you so much,
Absolutely.
Ms. Huggins. Okay, got a few more questions here. Samantha Rose asks, what website is the checklist on? Jeremy, earlier you were using a checklist that you showed on the screen, and the students were asking where they can, how they can get that essentially.
Yes, we can email those to you if you email us or we chat with you, but also Matt is going to post some of these documents in the Blackboard Collaborate. So Matt, if you'll maybe post that in there as well.
Yes, for sure.
But we can also email that to you as well. In fact, I can share it one more time here. Let's see.
Okay, and while you're sharing that, I'm going to go ahead and just load you up with all the coach questions here. Ignacio asks, how can we get a hold of a coach for guidance?
We have an email address. It's NE, like Northeast, .coach@tccd.edu. That's a kind of a generic coach one. Hang on, let me stop sharing for a minute so I can switch back to that checklist. And okay, let me share it again. And then, so there's a picture of the checklist again. There's the applying, the documents that you need to submit, the things that you can do with the Success Coach. To speak with a Success Coach, you can also chat on the advising page. I think on the chat, there's an option for being new to college. So you can choose that, and that'll route you to a Success Coach, either on the Northeast campus, or if you're going to take classes at another campus, you can get there. Also, if you log into your MyTCC account, there is a online advising chat in there that you can do as well. And you can see the success coach things, the testing mentions, and then we will get this posted and can certainly email that to you.
Excellent.
And I think that's it. The other question I saw on the sheet there, Matt, was about the Birdville Scholarship. Do you want me to
Yes,
go ahead
I was just
and
about to
address
ask that one. Please do.
So yes, those of you who are in Birdville ISD, if you go to the TCC website, you can see over here on the side, find a scholarship. That'll take you to our TCC Foundation website, who manages all of our scholarships. There are lots of other community scholarships and things here, but you'll see the link to the Birdville ISD scholarship here. And if you scroll down just a little bit, it gives you lots of the steps. But over here, there are a couple of flyers and a checklist, and then you'll see apply for the Birdville ISD scholarship. I would make sure that in addition to submitting your FAFSA, that's the first step. There's a July 1 deadline to be done with the FAFSA process, but you also need to fill this out. It just takes a minute. There are just kind of basic contact information things here that you can go through, and that gets you on the radar of the foundation so that you can make sure that you either get a grant or some type of financial aid or this Birdville scholarship. And I don't know if anybody from financial aid or other wants to chime in to add anything to that. Mary Lou, I don't know if you.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. The main thing to remember with the Birdville Scholarship is the July 1st deadline. What this means is that we have to have all of the documents submitted, or you have to have all the documents submitted by that date and be able to be awarded. This is a deadline that is set up by the Birdville ISD Foundation. So, and it is a hard deadline. So just remember that if you have not filed your FAFSA yet, or if you've not started the process, it is very important for you to do that. And the second most important thing, it's always a good idea to fill out that application for the Birdville Scholarship. I just want you to, just to make sure that you we clarify that the application that Jeremy was showing you is not the application for financial aid. So it might put you on the Scholarship Foundation's radar, but there are specific FAFSA application that will gain you access to federal and state aid, which is the FAFSA. There are also some scholarships that also require that you fill out the FAFSA. So if you're thinking that, oh, I'm not going to qualify for anything, so I'm not going to fill out the FAFSA, I encourage you every year you're in school, go ahead and fill it out, because you never know when those opportunities are going to come to pass. As far as the awarding of the Birdville Scholarship, if you indicate on your TCC application that you are graduating from a Birdville High School, that should automatically pick you up with the Birdville Scholarship. If you don't do that, you can always call us and let us know and we can check. But that July 1st deadline is really what we are looking at doing. So just make sure that you have everything in place by that time.
Guadalupe asks, if I am following a level 1 certificate, how do I get a TSI waiver?
You can actually, in the chat feature, if you want to go through that particular function and let them know what particular campus that you are taking these particular courses on. And then an academic advisor can actually complete a TSI waiver for you and actually submit it to the registrar's office with the class that you're wanting to register for. And that way they can go ahead and get you, not only get you enrolled in the course, but also put the waiver on file for you. So if you go through the chat function, you let the advisor know what particular campus, what certificate, what course you're wanting to register for. Then we can complete that TSI waiver. One, we want to make sure that that particular certificate qualifies for it. And we'll get that sent off to the registrar's office for you to get you registered in that course.
Thank you, sir. Tucker asks, do active cadets and Civil Air Patrol get any veterans assistance?
Sorry about that. I am not aware of any programs for either of those two groups, Civil Air Patrol or cadets, neither one of those that I'm aware of.
Okay. All right. Shelby asks, she says she's waiting to get an email to sign a promissory note. How long does that take?
Yes, currently you will be getting an email when they are ready. Due to the things going on with COVID, we have to send files to the Department of Ed in order to let them know that you're applying for an aid through TCC. So I would hold off for probably another 2 to 3 weeks and you should be receiving an email. We're just now starting to send all those files to the Department of Ed to get them processed so you can submit your MPN. You know, luckily you do have a little bit of time, so just hang on and watch your email.
Thank you. Okay, while you're on there, Mary Lou, Marie says, if we're approved for financial aid, can we just take 2 classes instead of 4? I know this will cut down on the amount of the awards funds, but will it cancel the financial aid?
No, it won't. That's actually a very good question. And that's why it's really important to read your terms of award, which is on our financial aid webpage. The award that you get might have different qualifications. So I guess the answer to your question is it depends on the level of your EFC. Because if you have a higher level of EFC, if you're only taking less than half-time or half-time courses, you may need to be required to be enrolled in a certain level to be eligible for that. So if you're curious, if you're on the lower end, like probably 0 to 3,000 EFC, you should be good with taking just 6 hours. You can always feel free to call our office and we can look, check and let you know for that. But yes, that is true. It will hold your classes. That's something to remember. If you have any type of aid, most types of aid will hold your courses and keep them from being dropped. The clincher is will it actually disperse to your account? So if you're curious as to the level of it, it should, and I believe if you also look on your award in the explanation, it will give that breakdown of what your EFC needs to be in order for the aid to transmit.
Okay. Thank you so much. Let's see here. It looks like we've got from Pratt says, how does a student sign up for a session? Are they currently online? Is that, I'm assuming, Pratt, I'm assuming you mean an advising session. And yes, as Leonard mentioned, you can go ahead and use the chat functionality on the website and get in contact with an academic advisor.
Matt, real quick, I also wanted to let students know too that you can also send an email to ne.advising@tccd.edu. And from there, we have staff that are actually checking that email account, and then they are sending those emails out to advisors based on what students actually need. Advisors, success coaches, counselors, whomever they need to speak with. So that's another way that students can connect with us as well.
Thank you, Mr. Broussard. One student asks, I am an out-of-state student at TCC. My proof of residency is from September 11th, 2019. I need to ask if I could get in-state fee for fall session if I register now. If no, then when will I be able to get a discount for any crash courses offered? I mean, so basically, when is in-state tuition able to be granted?
Residency, it has to be updated before the first day of class or up through the official date of work that the official date of record we can work with the student. So if it's not going to be in September, if it's not going to be before then it has to be 12 months. So whatever documentation they provide that places them here in Texas has to be at least 12 months old. So September 11th will be after the first date of class and after ODR.
All right, let me get you one more from Alyssa. She asks, can you accept an immunization record for the meningitis confirmation, or do you need the primary care physician to actually fill out a form?
No, we can take it from the student. They can send it to, we are working, although we're working remotely, we are taking them. They can send it through via email through the Northeast, spelled out, northeast.registrar@tccd.edu. And then we're pulling those documents and we're updating them remotely. So it's still being done.
Okay. So I think we probably answered all the questions on the BISD scholarship from before. So I'll move on to some other ones here. Trinia asks, do students taking dual credit classes in BISD need to do anything different to make sure they receive Foundation Scholarship for the first year?
Dual credit students,
I think
I'm
she
assuming
means
you're
when
s-
she's done with dual credit and transferring over.
Do students taking dual credit BISD need to do anything different to make sure they receive the Foundation Scholarship?
For the first
Okay.
year, so it sounds like
Okay.
graduating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we're assuming that you're graduating this year from BISD, the only thing that you really need to do is you need to make sure that you get an application to TCC because you were listed as a dual credit student. Then you just fall under the same requirements. Make sure that you have all of your documents and everything ready to award by July 1st.
Okay.
And as always, like I said, if you feel like you're eligible for BISD and you haven't been awarded, just give us a call and we can check.
And related is Vanessa asks, who do students need to contact to change their status from dual credit to a full-time freshman for the fall 2020?
That's admissions. We just need to know that they've satisfied the qualifications as far as graduation goes or whatever. If they've already graduated, make sure that they send us either a copy of their diploma or an official transcript so we can close that portion of it out, and then make sure that they have a regular academic program.
Okay.
And they can, as far as a copy of a diploma, which most students have readily available, just send that to the northeast.registrar@tccd.edu and we can update from there. As far as a transcript, if it's an official transcript, they'll have to submit that. And if they send it electronically, we are still receiving electronic documents.
Okay.
Even though we're operating remotely, the system is still working and it's still pulling those. So it'll still be posted and taken care of that way. So we can close out the high school program.
Fantastic. Thank you. Camelia asks, how many hours a day would an online class take up?
Well, for online courses, typically you're not going to actually have to be in front of a computer at for a particular time period. So what you usually will have is your instructor will post in Blackboard your assignments and when they're due, and the student will just need to make sure that they make sure they complete the assignments and then post them however the instructor wants them to before the due date. So the great thing about online courses is that you don't necessarily have to be sitting in front of the computer for a particular portion of time.
Okay, thank you. Amy asks, is it possible to take a 1 and 2 class in the same semester? So for example, AMP1 and AMP2. These are classes I need to apply to the PTA program in the spring, or can I take AMP1 during a Maymester?
You absolutely will not want to take ANP1 in a Maymester session, and that is because Maymester is only 10 days in length. And typically, for a course that you're taking in Maymester, you're in class for about 5 hours each day. So there's just there's way too much content that you would need to retain in ANP to take that in a Maymester. In regards to taking ANP1 and ANP2 simultaneously, no, unfortunately, you won't be able to do that. ANP1 serves as the prerequisite to ANP2, so you wouldn't be able to take those simultaneously. Now, on our campus, at the Northeast campus, you can take ANP1 in the summer. And instead of it being 5 weeks in length, our ANP1 would be 10 weeks in length. So a little bit closer to the amount of time frame that you would take it in a fall or spring. But again, any questions you have about any of that, feel free to reach out to an advisor via the chat. Or again, you can also email us at ne.advising. And you can also, if you want to email or call, or even through WebAdvisor, you can schedule an appointment with a counselor, with an academic advisor. And what that advisor will do is call you at the designated time that you scheduled that appointment for.
Okay, thank you, sir. And we're nearing the end of our time here, so I'll try to do a couple more here. Ignacio asks, what is the difference between FAFSA and TAFSA?
Okay, Ignacio, the FAFSA, to be eligible, you need to be a citizen or an eligible non-citizen. And a TASFA, those are state funds that are available to students that are undocumented, or if you're a DACA student. So FAFSA is done online if you qualify for that at www.fasfa.ed.gov. If you need to fill out a TASFA, you can log on to the TCC website. It is under our financial aid documents, or just type in TASFA in the search bar, and the TASFA application should pop up, and that is submitted directly to our office.
All right, thank you so much. And then the last one we'll do here is from Beth. What information, if any, is transferred from our high school to TCC?
Other than transcripting information, nothing else. Make sure that in requesting a transcript, you also ask for testing, any testing information to be included, because a lot of schools now no longer post any standardized testing information to transcript. So if you want that to come with it, you have to ask them to send that. Other than that, nothing else.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Barrett. So we're going to go ahead and end the session here in terms of the Q&A. Again, please, 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 if your question didn't get answered, if you still have something that you need to ask, go ahead and reach out to us on the chat. And I'll just pull up the website here once more so that you can see where that is. If we go to tccd.edu, again, most all of our questions we can get answered. Really, literally anything you type into the search box, you should be able to find information on it. But you know, if you're looking to pay, if you're looking to apply for admissions, anything, if you're new to college, transferring, veteran, all of these different links will take you to the information that hopefully you're looking to find. And again, on the Blackboard page that we've set up, I will be adding all the students who submit their information from this chat session, as well as most of the Northeast students should be added to this by week's end, and you'll be able to access all the information from this particular session. Now, one last bit here. Let me stop sharing my screen here. one last bit, if you wouldn't mind for us and also for you, I just put into the chat a link to the evaluation for this session, as well as how we're going to get your information to get your bookstore gift card to you. So if you've hung in there with us through this part of the session, we've still got over 100 students out there who are interested. And so I'll post it a few more times here because I think the transcription is going to keep going as much as I keep talking. So, and so there is the link that you can use to go ahead and get us your information. It's just a very quick form. You can fill in your name, your student ID if you have that, as well as your evaluation of this session, and we'll be able to get you your gift card if you win the drawing. So there are 5 gift cards to be given out, and so we'll draw names and
Matt,
send that out to you.
Matt, the link is not showing up in the chat.
The link's not showing up in the chat. Uh-oh.
No, ma'am. The students cannot see it.
That's no good. Okay. Let's see here. Boy, I thought that was going to be the easiest way to do that. Oh, I see. I see what it is. It's my fault, my mistake. There we go.
There's the link.
So there's your link. And if you wouldn't mind going ahead and cutting and pasting that into your browser and just send that over to us, and then we'll enter you into that drawing, and that'll be it. So again, I want to thank all the folks who have helped to put this together from all the different areas of the college. Thank you for spending the time here, and thank you for the students for hanging in there with us, and hoping that you got your questions answered. And again, if not, jump in there on our website, and using the chat feature, we're able to hopefully answer any questions that you may have. So thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Matt.